I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. You know, I get the honor of meeting and introducing you to fabulous women. The thing that I think that makes them fabulous is they're ordinary, just like you and me, but they've done extraordinary things. They've opened on some level to step into their zone of genius. And because of that, they become way showers. They become teachers and healers and inspired points. And so I'm very grateful. I get to do this every week, introduce you to another woman. I also want you to know we're on all the platforms: Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, YouTube video. You can also go to cynthiajames.net, join my community there or get the free gifts. My intention is to remind women that this is our time. This is our time to emerge on this planet, and we get to do it together. We get to grow together, expand together. So, thank you for being here. Please share the video. Please subscribe and come back every week and meet a new fabulous woman. So, my guest today, we'll talk a little bit more about how we met in the show, but her name is Lorraine Coffey. And the thing about it is, I'm just going to read a little bit from her bio that says her artistry began in 1999 after a spiritual experience during a challenging time in her life. With no formal training, she began painting using her fingers with pastels as her medium. We will talk about the work that she's done, but in 2013, she got inspired to create a new body of work. It's called The Seven Heads of God, The Seven Sounds. So she departs from pastels and she creates this body of work in clay. And I wish I could show all of you what they look like, but you're going to go check her out because they're astounding. I remember looking at the first one going, okay, this is God inspired. So I just want you to know that there are 7 sculptures, and they're created and they strike a prayerful pose as though they're in deep prayer. Lorraine, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's so lovely to see you again, Cynthia. It's been too long.
It has been too long. And you live in Ireland, correct?
I do. I was born and brought up in Ireland and spent some time abroad, but I am back home in Ireland, yes.
And tell us how you grew up.
Oh, well, I grew up in a little village in South Dublin called Shankill. And it was quite a small village, quite rural, and by the sea. I went to school not too far away from there. Um, School was quite a traumatic time for me, I must say, because my parents wouldn't have known at the time, but would have had serious dyslexia. So I really suffered and struggled in school. So it was, yeah, very traumatic, and I would still have trauma connected to it. Even now, you bring it through life sometimes, but yes. So that is, yeah, my childhood was filled with a lot of trauma, I would have to say,
Yeah.
But I did find something beautiful to do and something that I was good at, and that was athletics. And I became Irish champion. I was captain of the Irish team at one stage, and I threw the javelin for Ireland. And my dream was to go to the Olympics in Barcelona, but I had a serious injury, so that was all kind of cut short. But yes, so that was just a little bit of my childhood. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm,
and you know, the athletics, clearly, I mean, your face lit up when you spoke about it.
yeah.
So there was nothing in your mind that said, I'm gonna grow up and be this fabulous artist and make a difference on the planet.
Oh God, that nothing like that was on my radar because of the way I always felt about myself, firstly, which would
Yes.
have been quite negative. But I suppose the journey for me, now I can look back upon it. I was always a very sensitive kid, well, most of us are, but I would always feel things, see things that maybe others couldn't. And at age 11, I had a very profound experience that really stayed with me until I suppose I was ready to step into my purpose.
Mhm.
But so that really stayed with me. I'll share a little bit about it. I was 11, and I had other siblings, and my mum had said, okay, you're going to go with your dad this morning and you're going to do the shopping, the weekly shopping. So we were all put off in the car and went off, and my mum was at home. And I remembered in the car having very clear visions all of a sudden of my mother in the armchair with her eyes closed. And then I would get a strong smell of gas. And
Mm.
I heard somebody speaking to me as clear as I'm speaking to you, in amongst all the crazy fighting that was going on in the car with all my sisters and brothers, but telling me, you must tell your father we're speaking to you and showing you this because he will go home. And so this grew and grew and grew in me. And I asked my father, I said, I'm seeing these things and I think mum is in danger. We need to go home. And he kind of, oh, you're overreacting, you're imagining things. And the voice came back again and said, tell your father, we are speaking to you. And I said, Dad, somebody is speaking to me. I can't see them, but they're telling me this and showing me and making me smell. And there's something wrong with mum. He listened. And when he turned the car, we went straight back home. As soon as he put the key in the door, the gas came out of the house. And we found my mum in the armchair. She was unconscious. Somehow or other, there was either a gas leak or the gas had been left on. But it actually, that contact, that first strong contact I had with spirit saved my mother's life, I believe.
Wow, wow.
So, although traumatic, equally it was beautiful because it was so gentle, loving, and caring. And it stayed with me, all
Yes.
the years.
Well, you know what's so beautiful about this? So many of us who have been sensitives on the planet and who've gone through trauma or challenging experiences as children, there's some kind of portal that opens for the communication like this to come through. And I want to talk about how it came through in art, but I want to say to anybody listening, you are not crazy if you hear a voice that's guiding you. You are not crazy if you are seeing visions and smelling things that are outside of the reality of your life. Pay attention because something's trying to get your attention. So I want to know what happened, in 1999 to open this. I'm going to call this creative urge within you. So what happened?
Well, I had already completed a body of work that I was inspired to create. I always say I'm collaborating with spirit. And I had completed that body of work which became known as the Angel Gallery because it was all angelically inspired work, paintings and writings. And I had completed the final piece, and they held the space known as the Angel Gallery. That's where we met. And there was a year of a gap when there was no creativity. And I always felt guided to wait for it to commune with me, and that I would know when it was ready and time to create. And I would never know what I was going to create. And it was one day, I just doing the ordinary things that mums do. I was washing the dishes, and all of a sudden I had a vision, and the lovely voice came back and said, "We want you to start sculpting now." And I was just like, I have to make a point. I'm not a professionally trained artist. I simply trust spirit knows what they're doing, and I can be useful for them to bring in what they want to share with us and inspire us with. So I was filled with, I start to just be filled with absolute passion when this happens to me. And that is my guide. So I immediately went like, I just got some clay. I didn't even know what kind of clay I was to get, but I just start building. And that, I created a first piece. And it was from that moment on, I knew I was being called to create something else, another body of work. I didn't know what. That's always the way. I'm not given any inkling until I'm fully immersed in it. And then
Yes.
they allow me to understand the creation and its purpose. So that is
Yeah.
how it starts.
So, you know, if you've been listening to this show for a while, I take people on pilgrimages, and I have for quite some time. And I was doing a pilgrimage with the amazing author Kathleen McGowan, and we go to this place, and we're staying in this beautiful space. And she goes, "Well, we have to go to the gallery." And I walked into this gallery, and I have to tell you, the moment I walked in, I could feel the presence of angels. I mean, I could just feel it. And I look across the room and I see another angel who happens to be Lorraine. and and I got to tell you, you all, she's telling you something quite beautiful. It's like you're not going to get the full puzzle placed before you. You're going to be guided to go here. Then you got to do a trust walk to allow spirit to move through you. That was every painting in this gallery. And then I saw her first work of the sculptures. Now, I know she's telling you that she's not a trained artist, but you cannot tell it from the angels or from the sculptures, because divinely inspired is the only phrase I can use. So you start working on this, and you're in France. And how long did you complete everything there, or did you move?
Well, our plan was always that when we moved to France,
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be our life. And I started the sculpture body of work in 2013, and I completed it at the end of 2014, just at the beginning of 2015. And I knew I was being driven to complete it. And little did I know why and what was coming down the road for me, because in 2015, April 2015, I became critically ill with a mysterious illness. But looking back on it, I knew spirit was really guiding me to get a move on. I had this thing, I have to complete this body of work. It needs to be completed. And thank God I did. And it, I'm only beginning to work now again, in small ways after, my long period of serious illness. But yes, I'm just grateful to still be here, so yeah, it's been challenging.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful that you're here too. And I want to talk to you about your perspective. Do you feel that gifts arise out of trauma and challenge?
Oh, well, it certainly has for me. And in a way, again, I can only use my own experience. Now, when you're in that trauma, you don't necessarily understand it or what life is saying to you or what spirit is saying to you, what you are saying to yourself. It's only when you come out of it
Mhm.
that you understand the purpose of it. And I'm still coming to terms with the purpose of my most recent trauma, and that is having been critically ill and been diagnosed with Lyme's disease. But even prior to that, I had other serious challenges, but in essence, they've always really, we just can't go through life without challenges.
Right.
It's not possible. Well, I should speak for myself. It hasn't been possible, but they have been at some level my greatest teachers, and it's only with time that I have been able to come to that realization. That
Yeah.
yes,
Well, the reason I ask you this question is that, I've had a significant amount of trauma in my life and some dark nights of the soul. But
yeah,
what I've discovered is that there's something about those spaces, whatever level of challenge it is, that invites us into opening to our deeper spiritual connection and being able to listen.
yes.
I mean, it would have to be an angel dropping down in my house to tell me to sculpture and be guiding me, because that would not be one of my gifts at this moment, right? But that you could, from the time you were 11, connect to that divine energy and be able to listen to the guidance beyond whatever you were going through or whatever you had been through. Now,
Yes.
you are married and have children, yes?
Yes. Yes. I do.
And And how do they respond to this extraordinary gift you've been given?
Oh, they've lived with it. They've grown up with it. I mean, we first established the Angel Gallery in Ireland back in 2002, I think it was. And it was just part of their life. It's just been, mum paints angels and dad helps her with it. And we always have people coming who may be ill to the gallery or who are, suffering in some way. I do feel they have a great respect, or they definitely do see that. They see the challenges I've had. They've been with me in those challenges. And they've also seen the strength that somehow I've been able to find or been offered, to actually get through those challenges. And I have to say, they're so encouraging, especially now, to help me take steps every day. And they embrace me. They honor everything I'm doing, and they're so encouraging. And that's a real blessing, I really feel. Um,
Yeah.
it's definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I, having been in the presence of your family, you can feel it, the energy and the support. You know, I guess I just want to say to you, these seven sounds, they're all individual sculptures. And I was reading in your bio, because I know you've shown your work in museums and, it's been purchased and stuff. But but in your bio it said you have a vision of there being a place that can house all seven of the sounds
Yes.
as a
Yeah.
frequency. Yes.
Most definitely. I mean, unfortunately, the gallery had to close down because I was so ill. So everything has been put away, kept and looked after until I'm in a place that it can reopen. And that is my ultimate dream. And I really hope Spirit has that as a plan. Um, that one day I can reopen the gallery with the angels, but my vision is to extend it into different areas where people can not only spend time in the presence of that beautiful angelic energy, but then they can move on into experience the seven sounds, the seven heads of God, and also interpret and have their own unique experience in the presence of these inspired pieces, and allow spirit to commune through them to the sitter, I suppose, or the viewer, and to be exposed to that, I suppose, beautiful, magical wonder. The spirit's all the time trying to communicate with us, and that people be inspired. So that is the ultimate hope and dream. Because I'm still here, that is my hope that one day that will happen.
Well, when it does, please invite me. I would be honored to come and be in that energy. I mean,
Oh, you're so
I
welcome, Cynthia.
it was so funny when I saw you on social media. I was like, instantly, I was transported back into the gallery and our connection and sitting outside. And I mean, I'm a true fan and
Oh,
excited to hold your vision with you.
oh, well, thank you.
Tell us, how do people find you and your work, especially the work that they can purchase? How do they find that?
Okay, well, my lovely daughter has created a website, and the website is called Gifts for the Soul by Laurie.com. And she also tells me that you can also find us on social media under at Gifts for the Soul official.
Mhm.
But you can also find me on Facebook as Lorraine Coffey. So, yes.
Okay. And so it's Gifts for the Soul by Lori, Lorrie.
Yeah.
And uh, I just want to say, ladies, give yourself the gift of going there and seeing the majesty and the beauty that comes through this art, because you can feel it. You can feel the energy. Well, um, Lorraine, there's nothing in me that doesn't think that your vision's going to come true. I believe it's going to come true, and uh, I believe these gifts were given to you because you were the one that it was supposed to come through. Well, I asked the same last question of every person on my show. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
I really firmly believe I had my powerful awakening at my darkest hour when I was totally broken. And it was through prayer when I had nothing else. to give, to do. I had no way out of the situation I was in. It was through simple prayer of asking Spirit, asking God to please help me. And it was in that emptiness that I had my incredible awakening, because our Spirit came to visit me. And I firmly believe that, especially because there may be somebody right now, somebody listening in, that may be suffering or may be feeling lost in some way and feeling that they can't move forward. I was in that place, and I firmly believe if we give it over to Spirit, Spirit will come, and Spirit will give us the inner strength we need to take the steps to awaken. And I think it's a very, very important thing to share with women,
Yes.
it really is, that they can regain their power and they can reawaken and they can lead the most wonderful, magical, powerful lives, and so that would be based on my own life experience. Yes, it is firmly within us to awaken.
Yes.
We're awakening to our own mastery, really, aren't we? And
Yes.
our own light. And I think, yes, if we can spread the word and encourage and lead by example, share with our children, I think that is one of the most important things to do, especially in this day and age.
Yes.
With the way humanity is, we need to share that with our children and inspire them to search for their own mastery inside and awaken and lead the way, for humanity. I feel that is, if there's a message, that's what I feel in my own heart. So,
Well, that's absolutely beautiful. And Lorraine, thank you so much for being here, for bringing your tender heart and your masterful creativity. I'm so honored to have introduced you to our audience.
oh, you're very welcome. It's been so lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
Really.
All right, ladies. So I close this show the same way each time. I want to remind you that you are a masterpiece in the making. You are unfolding, growing, expanding, leaping, jumping into a greater yet to be in every single moment. So here's your charge. You get to say yes. You get to say yes to life. You get to say yes to that divine energy that's always around you, always communicating. You get to say yes, no matter what it looks like, whether you're an artist, whether you're a singer, whether you're a speaker, whether you are just doing that to build community, it is important. I thank you so much for being here. I am honored to be your host. Many blessings, and I'll see you next time.